Dark Destinations.
These may be end times, night creature. Why would a few more casualties trouble me?
Because their blood will join yours.
A radio drama anthology.
You are wrong.
How you figure? Every merc on Mongo is hunting you down.
Not you. Your partner. He said I didn't have a ray gun.
Full cast performances set in the haunted corners of the globe.
Darkness is coming for you.
That's the fear that haunts me. Sleep!
Dark Destinations by Father Malone at weirdingwaymedia.com.
Weirding Way Media. Welcome back, Midnight viewers, to Anthologies Attack, where all stories are one and greater than the sum of their parts. Speaking of parts, I'm only one small part. I'm Father Malone. Joining me here in the Midnight View is Antonio Lapour.
Hey there, Father Malone.
Hey there, yes. All right, now listen, I need everyone to cast their mind back, your comic-addicted mind, back to them golden days, those olden days of 2005. Countries at war, our culture's in freefall. What were the comic book movies in those nascent days before the ascendance of the MCU? These are the comic book movies of 2005. Constantine, Son of the Mask, it counts, it's a dark horse.
Yeah.
Batman Begins, Fantastic Four, Sky High, which was an original but it is a superhero flick.
Fantastic Four didn't come out in 2004.
No.
I feel like it's a wasted opportunity.
Are you kidding? Of course it was. But
it's like not releasing the new one this year.
But that kind of sums up that whole movie, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Also, A History of Violence.
Oh, yeah. That's a great movie.
And based on a graphic novel.
A Piranha Press comic.
Yeah.
Also gave us Road to Perdition.
Aeon Flux. We had the live-action version of Aeon Flux that year. I know, less the better. But we also had the feature that we're talking about today, which just also happens to be an anthology film.
The truths of Sin City will be shattered.
Let the girl go.
You know who my father is!
You can't do a thing to me, Hartigan.
There'll be arrests. There'll be deaths. Nothing can stop this.
Time to prove to your friends that you're worth a damn.
We'll fight the cops and the mob. We'll go to war.
This isn't some barroom, bro. This is the bad days, the all or nothing days. They're back.
You're making a big mistake.
Yeah. You already made a big mistake yourself. A hardtop with a decent engine. And make sure it's got a big trunk.
From 2005, released on April the 1st, 2005, written and directed by Robert Rodriguez and Frank Miller with special guest director Quentin Tarantino, we're talking about Sin City.
Dun 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 dun. However that goes. I do like that bass line though.
That was pretty much it.
Yeah.
It's very Peter Gunn.
Yeah, it is.
It's so Peter Gunn that it's almost a little insult.
Yeah. I'm just going to put this on the table right now before we get into the movie. I hate
the credits.
Yeah, it doesn't need it. You just go Sin City and then go right into the movie. I'm a fan of overtures, but that opening credit sequence just looks like it was made in Premiere or Final Cut.
Oh, we zoom out from the buildings and stuff?
The buildings and stuff, that's great. The title is beautiful, but it goes into the overture.
Oh,
with the
from there.
Yeah,
okay.
And the credits look like they're done at 30 frames a second, and they look real kind of like quickly thrown together. And yeah, it has the art. I mean, the art's great, but
do we actually need it?
I don't think.
Aren't we just going to be seeing the art for the next 2 hours?
Here's the thing on my movie Space Detective, which we're going to talk about a lot because Sin City was the biggest visual influence on it. And I'm going from the comic, the black and white style that we kind of employ in Space Detective with splashes of color. It came from the Frank Miller comic. That was my biggest inspiration, was that. We do a whole different thing with it. In Space Detective, the characters are all black and white, and then whatever's a light or a laser is in color. And then if they go to a planet or an environment, they may be two-toned yellow or something in black. But the Sin City is important to me creatively. And I feel like that, and in Space Detective, we've got a long opening credit sequence that if I go back, if I went back now and redid the movie, probably cut it out. Just going to the title right into it kind of works. And I think the setup, that prologue with Josh Hartnett into the title sequence, that's your overture.
Oh, absolutely.
That little 3-minute short at the beginning of the thing is everything to set up the vibe of the movie. So I don't think you need 5 minutes of titles that are kind of lackluster. And the theme is okay, but it's not John Williams, and it's not, all this is amazing. Although I do like the bass line. I don't think it needs it. It can just go right into Hartigan.
I totally agree with that. Okay, in order to talk about Sin City, we have to talk about Frank Miller. Now, Frank Miller grew up in Vermont. He moved on down to New York in the late 70s. He befriended Neil Adams at DC, kind of became his protege.
Mm-hmm.
Started penciling at DC. He actually wrote and drew a lot of horror and war comics. One of those war comics, Weird War stories, was seen by Jim Shooter over at Marvel, who called DC up, said, "Who's this kid?" and basically poached him with the promise of letting him pencil David.
Yeah, and Frank Miller, and you said, who's this kid? Frank Miller was a kid, man. Frank Miller was a comic savant almost, I think. He's not the greatest penciler. He's not the greatest draftsman, so to speak. His stuff is very in his own style. He's more like Jack Kirby than he is Neil Adams, if we're going to be honest here, because his storytelling is all about his pacing and his posing and his storytelling, man. It's really good, and it really lends itself to cinema.
Miller
is cinematic.
He's a writer first.
And he's absolutely a writer. And he loves to tell that kind of hard-boiled nose story. He took Daredevil, who was a B-list character, and just shot him to the A-list, man. And it's amazing. I've reread some of those Daredevils, and they really hold up, man. They're really good. His art is kind of rough. When he's inked by Klaus Janson, is probably the best back then.
Yeah.
Because Klaus Janson was a great inker. He was a really good draftsman and really complemented his art well.
He was penciling for Gene Coleman at the time. Coleman was running Derek.
Gene Coleman was?
Yeah.
Great.
I know. So,
Gene Coleman, Tomb of Dracula. That is his most famous work. And it's very, glowy. It's very watery almost. Like, his characters are always, in a motion blur almost. You know what I mean? It's very ethereal. His stuff. He did a run on Batman in the mid-'80s. My first run that I ever picked up he was the artist.
So when Colin finally departed Daredevil, that was his golden opportunity. Talking about Frank Miller. So that's certainly what took over. Of course, he would come to prominence right around 1985. We talked about it in our previous anthology episode with Batman The Dark Knight Returns. There was an inordinate amount of one-offs and covers and stuff in between.
Oh, you need it. Here's a couple of things. We're talking about Frank Miller. He was my comic book hero when I was a kid. He was the first guy I went out, I need to get his stuff. The Dark Knight Returns, reading it at 11 years old or whatever it is, and my head is melting. It's literally going, I can't believe Batman is like this. Can be like this. And I felt naughty because here I'm 11, 12 years old and I'm reading this comic book. It's got boobs in it, even though they're evil Nazi boobs. They're still boobs. And Batman and the Joker's it's fucking amazing. And I went into all this stuff. If you're curious about Frank Miller, go seek out his Wolverine miniseries, which has his best art, like his most fun, like, because he's not writing it. Chris Claremont's writing it. But, if you saw that, is it The Wolverine? Mm-hmm. Where he goes to Japan and he fights the Silver Surfer. All that stuff is based on this 4-issue miniseries.
My experience with Frank Miller in 1980, I was 13, I was a freshman in high school. And I had seen the local mall I went to, Liberty Tree in Danvers, Massachusetts. They didn't have a comic book shelf, but they had a limited amount of comics on there. And I first saw issue number 2 of Batman Dark Return and picked it up, thumbed through it, put it back down because I didn't want to start 2. Wanted to wait till 1 showed. So then I watched 3 and 4 come out and never ran into 1. So in high school, I was on the fencing team.
Oh, wow. How cool.
If you have to take an elective, it might as well involve stat.
Yeah.
So before fencing practice, my mother stopped at the Liberty Tree Mall and the trade paperback. So she drove me to this gymnasium where we were practicing, and I was very early. So she dropped me off, and I sat down to read Batman Dark Knight Returns and completely missed my fencing practice. And basically was finishing by the time my mother drove up again. And it's exactly what you described, because I was no stranger to adult ideas in comics. By then, I'd read all of the EC stuff and not only EC stuff, but there was contemporary horror stuff going on. The late 60s, early 70s gave us eerie, creepy, and all of these very adult things, not to mention not to mention all the other things. But this was Batman. This was Batman caving in people's skulls and breaking guns apart and dealing with his villains in the most realistic way I ever or had never imagined. Because it was never going to do this. Batman was going to be rooted as in adolescence at best. He was never going to be made into an adult. And so, like you, Frank Miller became a god to me.
Yeah, I think maybe, I don't remember if it was Dark Knight Returns or Year One that was my first. I remember getting Year One very clearly because I was like maybe 11, 12, and emotions are starting to change on you and stuff. And I had a particularly rough day or went through something rough and I was crying a lot or something. My mom tried to make me feel better. She's like, well, look, I'll take you to that comic book store you discovered. And I'll let you buy I'll give you some money for some comic books. Maybe will that cheer you up a little bit? I'm like, oh, yeah, right. And after that, there was a 4-pack of Batman comics, and it was the Year One issues. And it was just like they just taken the individual issues and just saran wrapped them and sold them as a $5 pack. And I bought that. I'm mesmerized by it. And I know The Dark Knight Returns was around the same time, and it was a $13 comic book. And my mom just rolled her eyes when I asked for, you fucking kidding? For a comic? And yeah, and I remember I read that on a Saturday afternoon and just, I can't believe comic books are like this. I did a report on it in the 8th grade a few years later. And on The Dark Knight Returns.
Yeah, but what did you get? What grade?
Oh, I got an A because I did a dramatic reading from like when the Joker, Batman has to snap the Joker's neck.
Passion projects always get A's.
Yeah. When the Joker snaps his own neck.
Yeah.
It brings you back to the brilliance of 25, 30-year-old Frank Miller. What's going to come up with that? Then where the Joker, in order to make Batman look bad, kills himself.
They'll blame you.
Yeah. And then Batman spits on him. Well, I don't waste time with a goodbye. Yeah, that's great, man.
Very hardcore. Not to mention, the characters in the funfair sequence are grotesqueries because Frank Miller loves his villains to be grotesque. Nevertheless, this scenario where the Joker is handed out poison cotton candy to everyone, is really horrifying.
And I love that shot too. It's a kind of a low angle, and it's looking up at the cotton candy booth, and it's just free cotton candy, and all these little kids are running up to him, and the Joker is like, in his, 80s, dressed as 80s finest suit.
He's all angles.
Yeah, he's all angles with that big smile on his face. And he's got his little creepy little midget robots, those dolls. Those are creepy, man.
Those are the grotesqueries, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah. Very off-put.
Yeah, and how great that is. I was always a fan of the Joker was like with the lipstick. And the Joker in everything is always taking over a TV show. I mentioned this on our other podcast. It's one of his tropes. And here in The Dark Knight Returns by Frank Miller, he takes over
the David Endocrine show.
Yeah, the David Endocrine show, who is basically just David Letterman. And he's got on Dr. Ruth Eisenheimer, was it?
Yeah, but or Cats in general.
Yeah, something like that. And the Joker has his lipstick that he puts on before the show, and he kisses the lady, and the Joker's got it's laced with the venom, and she goes bananas. And
the Batman Dark Knight Returns, the animated one, for that sequence. First of all, Conan O'Brien is playing David.
Yeah, which is great. Yeah, absolutely.
But Dr. Walper is Michael McKean.
He's Michael McKean, yes, the great Michael McKean, who we talked about on our last episode, who played the Joker on that episode of Legends of the Dark Knight. Played the 50s Joker, and he's back here playing Dr. Walper. And the guy who plays the Joker on it is
Michael Emerson
from Lost, right?
Plays it perfectly.
Yeah,
I always love a quiet joke.
Yeah.
Quiet Jokers freak me fuck. Cameron Monaghan did a really scary quiet Joker on the Gotham show.
Oh yeah, his Joker, his fake Joker.
Yeah,
there was two of them.
There was Jeremiah, and there was Jerome was all the manifestations of crazy Joker and lunatic Joker, and Jeremiah was the refined, elegant Joker.
I see. Jerome is the one that becomes the green-haired guy in the last episode.
No, that's Jeremiah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no, Jerome is killed.
Okay,
before it. It was, I don't know. I'm in love with Cameron Monaghan before.
Really? Yeah, he was. He had a lot of fun with it.
In fact, I'll find the actor's name and try and cut her in here, but there's this proto Harley character named Echo on the show.
Oh yeah, I remember that vaguely. Yeah,
there's a scene with her describing how she became who she is, and because she played a game of Russian roulette and it went off, and the bullet's still in her head, and she can hear it. That Harley was really scary. Let's get out the Dark Knight, because what am I talking about the Dark Knight? He has a falling out with DC.
Oh, he does?
I'm assuming he does, because he swears he's never going to work for them again.
Oh wow! I mean, although he eventually does.
Yeah, but that's when he splits off to do independent work and starts Dark Horse.
Yeah, and this is like 1990, 91, 92.
That's when he does Give Me Liberty.
Oh, yeah, Give Me Liberties.
With Dave Gibbons.
And with Dave Gibbons of Watchmen fame, yeah.
Martha Washington, man.
What a great comic, man. And one of the more prophetic.
By the Den.
Yeah. One of the more prophetic fight pieces from that era.
Futuristic America, Civil War going on. Washington, the only true American left.
And with a former crummy president coming back to try to make a comeback as a robot, in a brain in a robot body.
There was a scene in there where she has to, where a space station has been taken over, so she send her up to go take it back first. And all of the villains have armed themselves with projectile weapons, and she brought a sword. They're like, "What are you doing with that sword?" She says, "You can't use your guns, dummy." And then just slaughter.
Yeah, and those villains are gay biker Nazis.
Yes, because the factions in the United States are
out of control, man.
Yeah. With I just remember the Surgeon General just being like, they would eventually sort of copy this idea and escape from LA, but the Surgeon General is like this mad scientist taking over the Eastern Seaboard.
And he calls it God's country. Yeah. And there's franchise wars. So like Bob's Big Boy versus McDonald's or whatever it is. And taking over the Amazon. And
it's all very Judge Dredd.
It's very Judge Dredd. I've been wanting to make a movie out of that since I was in high school, man. I don't know how it would play today, but or a TV show or something, but
obviously people are hungry for it. They all went to see Civil War. Yeah, on the where they were going to see a Civil War. Here you give them the Civil War, but you do it in a fun way.
It's a very fun way and maddening, but it's also it's prophetic. The comics of the era that pretty prophetic with the sci-fi, but that one and V for Vendetta, I think, are the most.
Yeah,
and he also does. What else does he do over there? Rusty the guy robot. Rusty and Rusty the boy robot and big guy. That's a little later. He does that with Jeff Darrow.
Yeah, but that's before.
And then he also does the best thing with Jeff Darr, he does Hard Boiled, which is just the coolest 3 or 4 issues of a comic you ever saw. There's barely any dialogue in it. It's about this robot that works for a corporation, and they put a new personality in it every time he gets blown up. And it's basically kind of a Blade Runner situation. He goes after rogue robots or something. Really, the plot is so inconsequential.
Absolutely.
It's just some art by Jeff Darrow. Jeff Darrow was one of the designers of The Matrix. Go find that comic.
So Miller decides, I'm going to do something for me.
Yeah, he finally, I want to do something that's like Mickey Spillane.
Absolutely. Mickey Spillane, 3 times removed.
And if you go back to The Dark Knight Returns, what makes it his most identifying feature, also in Batman Year One that he wrote. Great art by David Mazzucchelli on that one. But anyways, he does the voiceover a lot, the narration, which is part of noir films. You have the voiceover by the character, and he's the first guy to get in Batman's head. This is what Batman thinks. But he carries that over into, because he wrote Batman like a Mickey Spillane character.
Yeah, he's no, I don't think so.
No,
I think Batman, Dashiell Hammett. Kind of what I got from that. But for Sin City, 100%. Because Hammett and Chandler, those guys were the real deal. Mickey Spillane kind of came up after them, was kind of aping. He may have been a tough guy and whatever, but he didn't have to pose.
No, he's not Dashiell Hammett or David Chandler.
There's no eloquence to me.
No.
But that's... He doesn't need to have it.
But Sin City doesn't either. Sin City is two-fisted and ham-handed, and it's fueled on whiskey and somas and cigarettes.
Dames
and
drugs. Yeah. And the Rourkes. So this is, okay. So he starts making Sin City. In an interview I read, he said he always had his biggest trouble drawing cars and girls. So that kind of helped fuel the subject matter here. Because he was going to force himself to do nothing but cars and girls.
And he draws the best cars. The cars in those have like such personality too, man. It's a masterclass on what the comic medium could do. Those Frank Miller Sin City comics. I mean, all negative space. It's just black and white, man. Black and white. And then every now and then here's some red or some yellow. Or some blue, but for the most part,
negative space is the key, though.
And unfortunately, that's what I try to do in Space Detective. I try to work with that. It's really hard to pull off in kind of any live action. If you get too high contrasty, then you lose a lot of definition. You get a lot of artifacts too, like a lot of pixelation and stuff.
See, that's what I noticed in the from comic to film. Yes, they went as far as they could in filmmaking here to recreate the frames and recreate the exact images. But what you're saying is absolutely true. There are tons of backgrounds that they had to put in.
Yeah.
Because if you're just black background, white, everything else, eventually your mind reels in horror against that.
Yeah.
So you will see building facades and stuff, whereas Miller didn't need it. He could get away with just silhouettes for an entire story.
So it definitely shows you that if you're going to adapt Sin City, I'd like to see it in animation at some point.
On play, apparently.
Oh, really? Okay. Well, there you go. But this movie's great. I'm not trying to detract from it at all because I really enjoy this. I've always enjoyed this picture. And it was a big influence on me on technically more than anything on how to shoot a green screen thing.
So, it's his biggest thing since Dark Knight Returns.
Yeah.
And longest running thing, because we had tons of issues of Sin City, all through Dark Horse Presents.
All throughout the 90s was all about Sin City for him. He snuck in 300 in there.
That's right. That was at the turn of the century there.
Yeah.
9.
Which is his other Sin City. You get the Dark Knight Returns, Sin City, and 300. That's what you need to read. I would argue some of those Elektra comics too.
Elektra Assassin.
Yeah, Elektra Assassin was pretty good.
Pretty hardcore.
Yeah.
Create a character and then kill her.
Yeah.
Bring her back.
Yeah, and then Elektra. I've got Elektra lives again on the shelf.
So
Ronin too. Ronin was one of his early masterwork. One of his early really great books about a samurai who gets sucked into the 22nd century. It's basically Samurai Jack, man. He ripped off the whole concept. Does it differently, but there's a demon in both time periods, and then he gets sucked into the future and he's got to deal with it. It's great stuff.
As early as 1930, they were trying Sin City.
Yeah.
Thank God they didn't.
No.
It would have been a nightmare. There would have been none of the personality. There would be no prosthetics. There would be definitely none of the.
There would have been Liam Neeson playing.
Yeah, they look enough like these people. So it'd be just another comic book adaptation. But it can't be. Because
you can't.
It's too stylized.
Yeah.
And unless you were going to go full on Ridley Scott, Blade Runner, immersive world, this is not our world, Streets of Fire, Walter Hill.
Yeah.
And no one was going to
No one's going to do that. What are you just going to do? Just shoot it in LA, I guess? I mean.
Yeah. Basin City, the eponymous Sin City of the title, is Los Angeles, basically.
Yeah, it's Los Angeles.
It's got tar pits. It's got the ocean there. It's got the Mulholland Drive, effectively.
Yeah, I can't call any movie that I want to make about my hometown, Las Vegas, Sin City, which is this is my only bone to pick ever. I'm going to really, with this franchise and these stories, I don't like the word franchise, with these stories, I can't call it Sin City. I can't make a movie about Vegas and call it Sin City anymore.
We're in Sin City.
It's literally, it's what we're called.
Selfish, Frank Miller.
Basin City, my ass. The Los Angeles Basin. That being said, though, yeah, it's LA.
So, mercifully, no film gets made. In the meantime, of course, we all know Robert Rodriguez's story and El Mariachi, which he made for $3,000. Sure he did.
$7.
$7? Oh, $7.
No, this was, you're a couple years older than I was, but I was just starting college and taking film classes, and Robert Rodriguez was the legend told by the natives in the hills about the movie making. It was him and Kevin Smith, but Kevin Smith and his credit cards, and Robert Rodriguez going to an insane asylum.
Rebel without a crew.
Yeah, Rebel without a crew, dog. Now here's the big secret about that. He shot it for $7,000. It still cost $1 million because Sony put $1 million into it after they bought it.
And didn't he have access to like locations that were ridiculous? Like, he basically had an entire town to shoot in.
But I mean, you go into Mexico, you can probably pull that off.
That's what I'm saying. The $7,000, if you were shooting in like Detroit, ain't gonna get you what it got him.
That being said, he was our hero basically when we were in school. Like, he was like, this crazy dude from Texas, pulled this shit out of his ass and got this huge deal.
I'm not denigrating anything, because I too I stand in awe of him.
Yeah.
Not only that he made it on his own, but he has an incredible visual eye.
Yeah, he does. And what I always admired about him is he did it all himself, man. It's what I'm like. I know how to run a green screen and do the special effects, and I can cut the picture and all this stuff. And now I can shoot too. Like, and I did that because I admired him so much because the way he did it. No one's gonna let me do it, so I'm just gonna do it. And what he did with Sin City is really amazing. I know it co-directed by Frank Miller and special guest director. Okay. Thank you, Miramax, for that wonderful marketing scheme. But come on, this is Robert Rodriguez's masterwork. It's his best movie. It's the one he should be remembered for he's the only guy really to make a comic book on the screen. Here's a comic book, and I'm going to make it for you right now. I admire Zack Snyder's 300 a lot because he kind of did something similar. He made that comic book. He adapted it pretty well. But man, Sin City was the first one to do it. And he took virtual production, which was pioneered by Lucas, and he said, you don't have to be George Lucas to do this. You can do this yourself. And that's what I did. I'm like, all right, fine. I'll put a green screen in my garage and see what I can pull out of my butt.
Yeah, he had been, up until then, doing little productions like the Spy Kids movies and Shark Boy and Lava Girl.
Yeah.
And all of those were just practice.
For this, yeah.
And once he got it, he fucking ran with it. God bless that he did, man, because no one else was going to do that. I don't care who the filmmaker was, because whoever, they weren't going to commit as hardcore as they would to this. And the whole thing about the co-directing thing, look, he got his panties in a twist about the fucking DGA telling him he can't have it. And he resigned from the DGA. And who cares? What? At one point, he wanted to give Frank Miller the credit, like he'll just give him that. And Frank Miller said, no, I don't want it. No, you take it. No, let's both. Who cares, you idiots? Just get the movie in.
Yeah, I don't. And Robert Rodriguez is he really has no ego about it. Like, he's just, I don't care, dude. I just want to make the movie, dude. I just want to have the fun of getting to hang out with Frank Miller for a year and making and adapting a comic book with him. That's like, for him, it was about that journey, I imagine, and what he came out of it. I admire the love for it. That I would never. All I've wanted to do is join the DGA my whole life, so I don't think I could ever just give that away. But I'm not Robert Rodriguez.
Well, Lucas did.
Lucas did too.
Yeah, because Star Wars, he wanted the credits at the end,
Yeah.
not at the beginning, so he resigned from the DC. And then,
But then again, that's an artistic choice, man. I can't respect George Lucas for that. And I got to.
well, George Lucas broke the code there because how many films don't have the beginning?
And I admire Rodriguez too. You stick to your guns, man. But again, I mean,
how much did how much was he on the set telling them what lens to use? It's quaint and God bless him and whatever, and you got to hang out with your idol, but don't make him the co-director. He's answering some questions about the characters from his head. That's all he's doing.
But all respect, Robert. I would have nominated Rodriguez for an Oscar for this movie because it's
absolutely he should have been nominated.
This is one of the finest. Everybody's Chris Nolan, the king of the comic book movie. Fuck you. Then Robert Rodriguez did it. I'm annoyed that Robert Rodriguez hasn't done a Marvel movie yet and hasn't done a DC movie yet because he's born for it. Everybody poo-poos a lot about Boba Fett, but I think Boba Fett was a mess because there was a lot of transition going on there, and they had to cancel shows and they fired some folks.
His episode though on Mandalorian.
His episode on Mandalorian is the best episode. And those last 2 episodes, I mean, a lot of the Boba Fett show is great. When that thing, when Boba Fett comes riding in on the Rancor, I'm like, thank you for pleasing 8-year-old me who wanted to see Boba Fett do something like that. So all the best to Robert Rodriguez as far as I'm concerned. This movie is.
It is. Well, let's get into it.
Yeah. There is one thing I didn't notice about it.
Yes.
It's really fast.
You think so? Because it's more than 2 hours.
I know, but
it doesn't feel it at all.
The pacing on this movie is like a line of cocaine. It is. But if you ever read a Sin City comic book, and I was still playing in my head because I'm like, slow down. And I'm like, no. I remember I would burn through the Sin City comic books in 5 minutes and then read them again.
Yeah.
Because
again.
You burn through them. They're designed like that almost because it's a lot of single splash pages, minimal dialogue, sometimes a lot of voiceover, but they're really quick books.
I find myself sometimes just doing a dialogue pass through a comic and then doing the artwork pass or vice versa. Sometimes one screams over the other.
And rereadable too. Like you should go back to them and reread them over and over again. They were always a lot of fun.
I was a projectionist when Sin City came out, so I saw this movie a lot.
Oh, wow.
And then I went to the drive-in to go see it because I had to see it in that setting, which is the perfect place.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Yeah, they should. Wow. Yeah. Wow. That's.
But okay, so the stories adapted here. They chose 3 stories, and then the one that you mentioned, which is sort of the test film that they made, the little 3-minute thing at the beginning. That story is called "The Customer's Always Right." That's the story of a hitman and his prey, and it turns out she hired him. Maybe I think that's
she hires him.
She hires him because who knows why. But anyway,
she's like, I'll cash her check in the morning.
Right. It's just a proof of concept reel that happens to be so fucking good that why wouldn't I put it there?
Yeah, and a second on Josh Hartnett, I feel we lost 20 years of really good leading man there with him. I get it. He made his own choice. He's like, I don't want to be Batman. I don't want to be that famous. I don't want to be Spider-Man. I don't want to be that famous. And I can respect that, but damn, that's too bad.
It is, but everyone should watch Penny Dreadful.
He's great on Penny Dreadful.
He's great on Penny Dreadful.
He's great on Penny Dreadful. Even when it goes off the rails, he's still there.
I was unsure of that guy.
Yeah, I know. He's great.
When I watched that show, I was like, he's got it. He's got the goods.
Yeah, it's too bad. I feel like of my contemporaries that were actors, he was really, really strong, and I would have preferred seeing him play all those Leonardo DiCaprio roles. Can you imagine him in The Revenant? Oh, that would have been so good.
He would have been really good.
Yeah.
Actually.
So I'm glad he's back.
Yeah.
I wasn't too big of a fan of Oppenheimer, but I was really happy to see him.
Well, he's always good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a dig. So the customer's always right, sort of wraparound story, but then they chose The Hard Goodbye, The Big Fat Kill, and then The Yellow Bastard.
Those are the 3 best.
Yeah.
Although I like A Dame to Kill For a lot because I love the Dwight running around with the bandages on his face. So what a great visual that is. Is that right, Dave?
Yeah, no, that is A Dame for Kill.
But the adaptation wasn't very good.
No, it was not. But the Marv story here, which is The Big Fat Kill, is the
Hard Goodbye.
The Hard Goodbye.
Yeah.
I like the Marv story more. I like his participation more.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because, we'll get to it, but I have a problem with Frank Miller's depiction the ladies, which are either sex objects or sex worth.
Yeah, I mean, this was something in watching it now. I was noticing that too. I'm like, wow, they're all, the only one who isn't is Carla Gugino,
Right.
who's a DA. I mean, it was a parole officer, but
Even she functions only as a victim.
Yeah, and she's, yeah.
A facilitator and then a victim.
Yeah.
Mom and then a victim.
And Nancy and Hartigan's relationship is weird.
Super weird.
And that's something that Frank Miller has floated around a lot. He loves old guys and those young girls. He loves that dynamic, and it's a little weird.
And prostitution. What's Selena Kyle in Dark Knight Returns? Yeah, she's a madam.
Yeah, she's a madam. And in Year One, she's a dominatrix.
So that's why I think, like, the Dame to Kill For story, if it had been put into Sin City, the first one, I think it would be a perfect movie.
Yeah, that's where they end. It's like Dwight, he teams up with Dwight. And
he goes and he fucking wrecks everybody.
Yeah.
It's great. So we still get all of the crazy Marv.
But the Hard Goodbye is the first Sin City comic.
No, it absolutely needs to be there. I'm just saying where the story goes.
It's more fun in
Dame to Kill For, because he's just having a rollicking time.
Yeah.
But I don't mind Heartbroken Marv. I don't mind Marv going to the fucking electric chair. I just don't like hanging old.
Yeah, and Dame to Kill For, it's all in Old Town.
Well, but
at least they're killing people.
But the Eva Green character, at least is a female character with agency.
Right.
It's underhanded, whatever. Who cares? Like, that's what a femme fatale is supposed to be. She's the only the only woman out there fucking doing shit, making it happen.
Yeah.
Everyone else is just waiting for a man to help them or being used by men. Because what's crazy to me about the whole Old Town, look, let's put it out there. Old Town is basically the slummy area where all the sex workers have gathered. There's a truce between them and the police, where the police don't go to Old Town or they're getting fucking killed. And I don't understand what the truce is really, because I don't know what the cops are doing. Are they being paid?
Yeah, they get, what did she say every now? The cops get free entertainment when they throw a party.
Oh, okay, so they get to fuck for free. And then, and
but
basically,
I imagine, like, cops fuck hookers for free anyways.
Right, so there's no, like, you were doing that anyway.
I agree.
None of this shit makes any sense.
But no, the young people talk about problematic, and everything is now, I guess, nowadays. But I watched this movie again, and I love this movie, but it's definitely, there are no empowered women in it, and all the ladies are victims in it.
All the prostitutes and all the time.
Even the strongest lady in it is Rosario Dawson, Gail, who's in charge of Old Town and all of this stuff, and and is bossing Dwight around until he punches her, and then she's like, "Oh, I love you." Did I just see?
Gender politics are not Mr. Miller's strong suit.
No.
And we can only blame him here because it's a straight adaptation, a transcription, if you will, from page to screen.
So maybe I think Dame to Kill For would have been a better, but then it would have just been a lot of Marv, though.
Yeah, I could deal with that.
Yeah.
We're still in Dwight. He's still in there?
Yeah.
So that's, okay, let's get into Marv there. Mickey Rourke.
Wow, right? Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
I mean, look, I've been a Mickey Rourke fan from fucking day one, since Diner. I've always been a huge fan.
Yeah, he's great at it. But like the framing sequence of the movie, though, before we get to Mickey Rourke, it starts with, it's got almost two framing sequences.
Oh, right. Yeah. We didn't start with Marv. Yeah. We actually start with Hartigan.
Yeah, because it's when Josh Hartnett's hitman shows up again at the end of the picture. So it's like there's two framing, because
bookends.
There's two bookends, which is kind of weird. But it plays okay.
It plays great, actually, because so we start with Hartigan on his last day of job. Basically, he's got to save young Nancy from a serial killer or a pedophile who happens to be Nick Stahl.
Yeah.
Playing one of the Rourke family. Here in Basin City, the Rourkes are the Kennedys, basically, but a much more crime-oriented, more than usual, than Kennedy's sort of situation. And here's the youngest ne'er-do-well son who's a fucking psychopath and child.
Well, yeah, the Kennedys, they were crooks and then became legitimate.
Oh, yeah, they were bootleggers. 100%.
Yeah, they were bootleggers, and then they became legitimate more or less afterwards. But
so he's had some.
But these guys are like eternal criminals.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, they're absolutely. That's a good analogy.
So, okay, here's the one thing. This almost makes me turn the movie off every time. The opening lines of dialogue between Michael Madsen and Bruce Hartigan, where Michael Madsen is an exposition machine who tells us everything that Bruce Willis has just told us in a voiceover.
Yeah.
All right, you're going to get on the park, dude. And
You're pushing 60.
Yeah.
And you got a bum ticker. Okay, can we think, is it me or is Michael Madsen only ever good in Tarantino movies?
No, that's not true. Because he's great in Thelma and Louise.
And he's good in those Bond movies, too.
And he did a biker movie with Charlie Sheen called Not Above the Law, but something like that, which he's fucking great in.
He's terrible in this.
He's great in War Games.
He's in War Games?
He's in the opening. Turn your key, sir. That's Michael Madsen.
That is right. Oh, my God. Wow. Because he's terrible in this.
Oh, it's the character. It's the Bond.
Yeah.
I don't care who they're going to stick on that. Stick in that role. It was
They're pushing 60 with a bum ticker. I always remember that line.
That sounds normal.
Casting Bruce Willis is great, but I feel like, man, there was nobody bigger. Because Hartigan is Batman. Is like what I mean, he's Batman. He's the Dark Knight Returns Batman. And like he's Batman. Or Marv too is another, like they're both kind of in that same big size guy. And Dwight is definitely Superman. But so I feel like Hartigan should have been bigger, but his performance is great.
Oh, yeah.
And it's one of I think Bruce Willis's best performances. Still Pulp Fiction, but this is up there. Pulp Fiction and Die Hard.
Yeah, those are the ones. 12 Monkeys.
Yeah, 12 Monkeys is good.
Okay. So, all right. So Hartigan's going to save the girl, blah, blah, blah. Shoots Nick Stahl a bunch of times. Love the white blood.
Yeah, it's great.
Love the white blood splatters. It's such a neat trick. It's like what Romero did in Creepshow, which is he just put red lights on every scene that we're going to have blood, so just put some water pouring. So it's like, fuck you, MPAA.
Yeah, Nick Stahl's really good. I feel like he didn't really work much either. Like, he did 12 Monkeys TV show. But he's really good. He gives a really unhinged performance in this, and he's really creepy. And
creepy as hell.
And I think he's definitely going to rape that poor little girl.
I think his problem might be that creep factor just seems inherent.
Yeah. He's got
kind of curtails him from a romantic lead.
He was one of the 19 different John Connors.
Like that Jeremy Davies. Like that guy.
Oh, yeah.
Creep.
Yeah, creep.
Just don't let him near the kids. I love these guys. I think they're incredibly talented, but good Lord. Okay, so basically, I really liked the writing in this. I liked this. Everything here is a noir trope. We've seen it all a million times. But Hartigan, shot to pieces by his backstabbing, back-shooting partner, Michael Madsen, is just trying to stall for time to keep Nancy alive. Because as soon as the rescue authorities, the police, the ambulance, Nancy's going to be okay. Because if he dies beforehand, Nancy's get shot, fucking dumped in that river. It's
very macho. This is one of the most macho movies of the 21st century. I just can't stop thinking there's no femme fatale in that.
Not one.
The closest thing is Gail, and Gail's not a femme fatale.
Not even remotely.
No. Damn. Now I want to go cut in a Dame to Kill for it.
It can. That's the glory. When I went to rewatch this, I watched the recut extended version.
Right.
Have you watched that version?
That's the one where you just watch the individual.
You watch the 4 individual stories.
I have it.
Hated it.
Yeah, it doesn't work.
Right?
No, it doesn't. It doesn't.
If this were a TV series, I'd be like, well, maybe I'll tune in and stream. But the Hartigan one in particular is what does not work, because that if you follow it in one through line where he dies effectively here in this opening, and then the next scene is him just being kicked around by cops. I'm like, well, wait, what? The fact, in my mind as a viewer for the first time watching that movie, Hartigan, as a fair trade, he lived long enough. That's a noble sacrifice. And then he comes back, and you're like, holy shit, he's still around. Not awesome. By the end of the movie, I love them.
Yeah. I think that's a great piece. I like the structure a lot. You know what I mean? Like, the structure is almost reminiscent of Pulp Fiction. I was thinking that this was a spiritual successor to Pulp Fiction. Almost like it's almost a decade apart, And they're basically kind of telling the same story. There's the same movie. It's
Right.
this neo-noir about LA.
Right. And the sort of subtitle on the Pulp Fiction script was like 3 stories about one story.
Yeah.
So, yeah, no, and I totally get that fine. And I love when an anthology can tie itself back into itself without being overly precious about it.
Yeah.
Because these characters in these situations bump up against each other. There's scenes where all the characters are present in the same scene, not even interacting with one another. And I love it. I don't need more than that.
I wouldn't mind, as an editor, it would be kind of fun to take that and like maybe recut it a little bit. Because I remember in my head a little bit that I thought these movies intercut more, and they don't intercut at all. They're just straightforward. The only one that is its own thing that splits up is That Yellow Bastard, which is the greatest title in history. What a great title, That Yellow Bastard.
Oh, and then to just make it literal.
Yeah.
Pretty great.
Yeah, it's pretty great. But that's later in the movie.
Yeah.
We'll go in order. So we have this great little opening here with Hartigan and the little girl. And that little girl's really good, man.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed it. She's not
Precocious.
precocious.
Precocious is the ending of the film.
Yeah, she's not like Dakota Fanning in War of the Worlds.
No, it just seems like a little girl situation.
Yeah.
You don't understand.
Yeah. And Bruce Willis's delivery is just always really good in it. And Bruce Willis's performance makes the relationship less creepy.
Because it is 100% paternal.
Yeah.
Until she starts making. But we'll get to that.
We'll get to that later. And so we get into from here. So he's left for dead, and the audience thinks he's dead, but at least the little girl is safe because she hears other cops there.
On to Marv.
Yeah.
Now,
man, Mickey Rourke. How do you go from being the handsomest guy in Hollywood to not being the handsomest guy in Hollywood like him?
I spent the 90s in a boxing ring.
He's a weird dude.
He is a weird fucking guy.
Yeah.
But he's 100% Mickey Rourke. And I love him.
You know who reminds me of him? Is Tom Hardy.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, same sort of intensity.
Yeah.
Same sort of esoteric
Yeah.
quality. But
Hardy, not as batshit crazy.
Right. Tom Hardy seems like you could have a conversation with him. Wouldn't end with scratching heads.
So there was this writer back in the 80s or 90s. His name was Joe Queenan. Joe Queenan? Yeah, Joe Queenan. And he wrote this book, If You're Talking to Me, Your Career Must Be in Trouble. And he probably wrote for Esquire or Rolling Stone. That type of guy. He was one of those man about town.
A columnist, a humorous columnist.
Yeah. And he did this piece called Mickey Rourke for a Day.
Oh my God. Yeah, I remember this when it came out.
I've had this book. I stole it from this kid in college. Sorry, I took your book, dude.
And it's just like I smoked 20 cigarettes, right?
Yes. 5 a.m. Rise. Smoke first Marlboro. 5:01. Smash bathroom mirror with fist. First unintelligible-eyed motherfucker. Unintelligible motherfuckers who want me to compromise my principles and suck their cocks. And it just goes on like that. 7:48 a.m. Visit dirty bookstore in Times Square. Page through bondage life. The tickling scene. Footnotes. Smoke 11th Marlboro. And it just kind of goes on and on. And it's the funniest thing. Please, sure you can find this article online or something because it's so funny. But it just sums up the lunacy of who Mickey Rourke was in the 80s and 90s. Like, he started his career in the 80s, like in Diner and Pope of Greenwich Village and
Body Heat.
Body Heat.
He's the arsonist in Body Heat.
Yeah. And then
Hey, he was in 1941. He's one of the guys in the tank.
Yeah.
Like he was an up and comer.
And 9.5 Weeks.
Yep. And then Angel Heart.
Oh, and 9.5 Weeks was a sex thriller, which they used to make a lot of these back then, where like famous people would bang on camera and then there would be a murder in there. And then he did Angel Heart. Angel Heart is a neo-noir directed by the great and underrated Alan Parker, who made The Commitments and Pink Floyd The Wall and a bunch of other things.
Bugsy Malone.
Bugsy Malone, about 11-year-old gangsters playing adult gangsters. And they're like these little kids cosplaying as adults, and they're shooting each other with like potato guns.
Splurge guns. They shoot cream pies.
They shoot cream pie.
And it's a musical. Except that the musical, that all of the songs are sung by adults and the kids are just lip syncing.
Yeah, and it's got Scott Baio and
Jodie Foster.
It's a weird movie.
All the songs are written by Paul Williams.
Yeah.
Bugsy Malone's singing voice is provided by Archie Hahn.
Oh my God.
It's a great fucking movie.
But his movie, Alan Parker's movie, Angel Heart,
Yeah.
is the coolest neo-noir.
Absolutely. Best neo-noir in the 1980s, I think.
Well, that is Blade Runner.
Well, no, that's sort of future noir.
Future noir, okay. But that's a neo-noir.
Yeah, Neo, not neon, because neon noir is anything that takes place in color in Los Angeles that's a crime thriller. Those are neon noirs.
Oh, I thought that was anything directed by that European guy who did, yeah. No, not that guy, the guy who did that movie, was it Drive?
Oh, Nicholas Winding.
Yeah, I thought, that's Neo. That guy's like, please give me some bisexual lighting. See blue and purple, that teal and fuchsia light.
You see that interview between him and Friedkin?
No. Oh my God.
Where?
Yeah.
Friedkin takes a not liking to him almost immediately. Just keeps hammering him like, he says something like The Godfather's not that good a movie or something like that. So Friedkin just keep coming back. Just how are you breathing right now?
Man, Friedkin's a great director. Unethical. I don't think shooting guns on set is a very, but hey, do what you got to do. It's Billy Friedkin. God rest his soul.
All right, where are we? We finished Hartigan. We're in Marv. We're talking Mickey Rourke.
Mickey Rourke. And anyways, Angel Heart is he's a private detective, and I'm using air quotes more or less, so I'm not going to give too much away. And he gets hired by this guy, Louis Cyphier, played by Robert De Niro, playing the greatest movie devil of all time.
Yes, the most obvious named, but a fantastic performance.
Yeah.
You'll never look at an egg the same way.
Yeah, you'll never eat an egg. Oh, God, it's gross.
So Mickey Rourke definitely had this fucking reputation as being, let's just say, difficult.
Yeah, he was not, and he just was not an easy guy. He's a drinker, smoker, hard guy. And in the 90s, he what was it, that movie? Harley Davidson and the Marlboro Man.
Great movie.
Yeah, and then
I love that movie.
Him and Don Johnson are at least two ne'er-do-wells who go on an adventure.
That movie predicts the Matrix. I'm serious.
Really?
Oh yeah, the agents, Daniel Baldwin and those guys with those machine guns and the big cloaks and everything. The end of that movie takes place in a skyscraper, and the heroes are saved by a helicopter that shows up and blasts all of the villains off of the top floor. Oh yeah,
I remember that's a good picture. But and then it was 8.5 weeks, and then 9.5 weeks. Was that the sequel?
No, he did 9.5 weeks, and then it was 9.5 weeks.
No, yeah,
no. He did 9.5 weeks, and then he did Blue Orchid.
That's the sequel to 9.5 weeks. Yeah, and it's just another sex movie,
Right.
But that one bombed
hard,
and Harley Davidson Marlboro Man bombed, and he had a few of those bombs, and he started boxing and
he had always been a boxer.
Yeah, but he took it really seriously, and
he felt betrayed by Hollywood. And
is that what it was? He got.
Oh yeah, there's a whole story with Mickey Rourke and his finances and feeling like he had sold out completely with Harley Davidson and the Marlboro Man, and he figured, well, fuck all this. I'm just gonna go box a while.
Shit, he's the quintessential tough guy actor that thought he was or was actually a tough guy.
I wouldn't want to sangle him.
He was always a boxer. So the guy's not built for Hollywood.
No, he is one of those guys who you like. Michael Shannon is another one where you see it and you just go, he doesn't need this at all.
No, but I know Michael Shannon's an actor's actor though. He's all about the material. He's an actor's actor, that guy. But Mickey Rourke was always a weird kind of noodle guy.
But I've never seen a bad performance from him.
No, never. Always a good actor.
Always interesting.
Yeah.
And it was no surprise to me that he was going to be so fucking great here.
Yeah, and it was one of those things when they cast him, like, Mickey Rourke hasn't been in anything in forever.
He had been in The Rainmaker, the Francis Ford Coppola, the John Grisham thing. He's the best thing.
Wow. But he's got a great voice, and his Marv is...
I can't imagine anyone else, right?
And the fact that he is Marv, that Marv exists as a movie character with the same silhouette and as the comic book is amazing. And I don't know how to explain that performance. It's so nuanced, and yet it's so over the top at the same time. And as a character, Marv is clearly bipolar or schizophrenic, and he's got to take medication, and he has issues.
He blacks out a lot.
He gets confused, as he says.
And sometimes he just likes to bring cans.
Yeah.
Just for no good reason. There's not no that day.
He's something else.
This is a character you'd never ever want to be around. But
and it's like a performance that's a tour de force. Is the only way to put it, man. It's a big performance and it's really great.
He won an Academy Award for the rest of it. He should have won it for this.
Yeah, no kidding. He absolutely should have won it for this. And it's one of the best, and it's probably one of the best adaptations of a comic book character. Like best casting. He's up there with Iron Man, I think, or Chris Reeves as Superman. It's just casting.
Pretty apt, yeah.
Yeah. And he leaps off the page. They say that character leapt off the page. He absolutely does.
Yeah, the Christopher Reeve thing is so strong. Because Christopher Reeve in that costume is Superman.
Yeah, and his delivery is just spectacular.
Both with the voiceover and the in-person dialogue.
It's just, his delivery is really good. And we got to talk about Carla Gugino's, and there's, like you said, just ends up being another victim, which is too bad. I had a giant crush on her when this came out.
Me.
And I still do to this day. So to a certain degree, the little pervy 12-year-old in me is still very grateful for the scenes with her. But yeah, I wish she would have met.
Oh yeah, because just as a psychologist or a parole officer for Marv here, yeah, she commits to the role and actually got the brief that she's recreating the panels of the comic book here. Her character was nude-free, unlike, say, later stripper characters.
Yes.
Let's talk about it. Let's talk about Nancy. But fuck it, we don't have to go in chronological order here.
Well, she's in the sequence.
Oh, okay, there we go. Yeah, that's right. In the bar with Marv. So we meet her as a stripper, so we don't know it's the little girl from the Hartigan sequence at first. We just think, oh, this is the main attraction here at whatever the Katie's, I think is the name of the club. And it's a burlesque performance, I guess, right? Because it's burlesque with stripper moves because she never takes off her clothes for some reason. And I know it's just because it's Jessica Alba and she doesn't want to take off her clothes, but how about you just don't play the part?
Yeah. Well, yeah, she's beautiful though.
She's beautiful.
She's an angel. She's good in the part. It's actually her best performance, I think.
Of hers?
Yeah, in a movie, it's her best performance, but you can argue that because it does not have the boobs. And the boobs are integral to the art if you're adapting it straightforward. You know?
I feel like a pig for saying it, but that's I'm watching it. It was just like, what the fuck? Like, why? Here's the thing. I appreciate her stance and I appreciate their care for her as far as adhering to that and not making her take her clothes off. But who in that fucking room, those characters are sitting around for that performance? Yeah,
that's a good point. That's an interesting point.
It would be like, that's the performance in between the rest of the performances, right? Oh, let's give Nancy her little due, right? Nice dancing, Nancy, bye. But she's like the top earner at that club. I don't know. Just, it bothers me to this day.
No, the logo for the club is a silhouette of her, and you can see those nipples popping out. Yeah, no,
with all of it,
I feel like a pig saying it, but yeah, if you're gonna go for broke.
Yeah, as an actor and as the filmmaker, we are 100% translating this.
And I'm not trying to be a pig here or anything like that, but I've been around actors my whole life. I am one. I'm good at it. I don't really like being an actor. It's kind of a pain in the ass. I like being a writer-director, but I've been around a lot of actors and young gals that are actresses, and trust me, they like getting naked. No, I mean, meaning that a lot of them are very brave and are willing to do it if the part calls for it. It makes sense. And they're not unopposed to it. You know what I mean? So I think finding a name actor in 2005 to do that part would have done it would have not been a problem.
No, it would have been really easy. And dare I say, a more seasoned performer.
Yeah. I mean,
she was the flavor of that moment.
Yeah, she was. And she's only like 20, 21. 20.
She's in Fantastic Four the same year, but she's equally miscast in.
Yeah, she's not. And it's not her fault either, because they're cast in Fantastic Four. They're casting a girl who's basically college-aged to play the matriarch of the Fantastic Four.
Yeah. It was not a good idea.
No, it wasn't. Like,
it's all stunt casting.
Yeah, it's weird casting.
It's somebody gets popular and they just get a whole bunch of jobs, and I can never blame an actor because people are offering you work, you fucking take it. But anyway.
And even she knows it was not the right move for her. She's like, that sequel made her quit. She's like, I can't believe Tell Me to Cry Prettier. What the fuck? So I think she deserves she deserved better representation. I don't think this may have been the movie for her.
Certainly not.
She was great in it though.
But it's a gritty flick, and I want gritty.
Yeah, she's not gritty.
Not in her mode.
No.
Who is pretty? Jamie King.
She is.
She's great. As Goldie.
Yeah.
And the other
Wendy.
one. And Wendy. Goldie and Wendy. See, this is where we kind of go off the rails because the Marv story is he's investigating the murder of Goldie, the goddess who spent the night with him for a good reason. And it's heartbreaking for Marv, but where we end up in Old Town, the mercenaries and the whole deal. Plus, here's where I'm with all of it. Not only, because we've already talked about the weirdo gender sexual politics of Frank Miller as far as how the female characters are portrayed, but this movie is incredibly unsexy. Nothing in this movie turns me on.
No.
They have a city block full of prostitutes, and not one of them everyone is garbed in some sort of like futuristic, like Mad Maxian kind of thing. There's a Zorro girl in there for some reason.
There's a Zorro girl, yeah.
Yeah, man. And
that's the comic is that. But
I know.
But I remember the comic being sexy though.
Yeah, but because you had because he had drawings of, say, Nancy on the stripper pole, and you got to see Frank Miller working out what he had said, which is I have a problem with female bodies. So here it is, and he's doing.
And it's a splash page,
right,
of her with the rope and the boobs, and I might have made it a little dirtier. I think that's that problem with the studio system. Let's make it a little not so dirty.
Well, I got to say no, because it was drawn that way and it was translated that way. So it's not a studio interference thing. This is just a Frank Miller problem.
Well, yeah, no.
And then an interpretation problem on Rodriguez's part, unless this is what turns him on. The only thing that kind of turned me on in the movie, why are you doing it? But the turned me on in the movie was Carla Gugino showing up naked, and that's because I think she's fucking phenomenally attractive. Everything else that was supposed to turn me on, I was just like, I get what's happening.
Yeah, well, Carla and Rosario. Every time I see Rosario, I'm like, oh, it's Rosario. I got a crush on Rosario. Well, yeah, no, I see what you mean. But he
you're turned on by a beautiful woman screaming, firing a machine gun. Well, then, yes, this movie's for you, but that doesn't just do it for you.
He dresses them all like superheroes.
Mm-hmm.
Zorro, Wonder Woman.
There's sexy ways to do that.
Gail is dressed that dominatrix thing, but it's like the most complicated dominatrix outfit you ever saw.
Yeah. It only gets worse in the sequel.
Yeah.
Where they put her in one of those dungeon master, like a leather skull cap.
Yeah.
With studs on it and stuff. I'm like, wait a minute, hold on.
That sequel doesn't work as much this one does, almost. Like, this movie, like, for all its faults, it still really plays.
Yeah.
And the sequel doesn't play.
I agree. The sequel has pacing problems where this one does not. This one, as we said earlier, like a 2-hour flick, just hums along.
Yeah, it's just that it's a lightning pace.
It's rare to get to the end of a 2-hour movie and think, oh, wait, no, this is over.
Yeah. Yeah. It's one of his best editing jobs. Rodriguez cuts his own movies, and like it's one of his best ones. His heart's really in it. And like I said, he matches the pace of those comics. Marv he just goes through the whole thing, and you can't. So Carla Gugino gets her hand eaten. Dames. He's let it out, and they're just fine. Which I think is a really interesting scene because it's, it shows her how strong her character is. It's just, character's stupid.
Yeah, I mean, look, they turn this strong character into the victim, but Carla Gugino's righteously great in this scene, man. Like,
and then she knocks out Marv. She's the only one who gets one up on Marv. Not Marv, yeah. She's the only one. She knocks him out, and then surrenders to the cops. Now, as a parole officer in Basin City, I would assume that she knows that the cops are the most corrupt thing in the universe. So I don't quite understand her reasoning there. So yeah, that's Frank Miller making stupid lady character.
But that's not Kevin.
Huh?
That's not Kevin.
Kevin?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, God, yeah. Spider-Man.
Fucking horrifying.
Yeah, horrifying. But then he's Spider-Man. I think that's great. Like, I think Miller takes all these archetypes of superheroes and kind of works them into of superheroes he's worked on and kind of works them into there. And clearly you see that kid with the big white eyes and run around, inspired by Spider-Man, but just horrifying. What a performance for Elijah Wood. And as an actor, definitely a palate cleanser after being Frodo for a bunch of years. You know what I mean? Like, lovable Frodo. Well, here, look, I can play Maniac too.
Yeah.
And he's great. He's
yeah.
spectacular in that movie.
He's so scary here. Particularly at the end when we finally get to see his eyes.
And then he's got those nails.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. He's, again, that whole sequence between the fight between him and Marv, as far as directly from the comics, uncanny.
Yeah,
and
it's really good.
And as a testament to Robert Rodriguez, those two fucking actors never met each other.
Amazing.
There, in fact, there's a scene where I was watching some behind the scenes stuff. Like one of the bar scenes where the characters are all exchanging looks. All of them were there months apart. Like they're all interacting with each other. He'd do things like wrap an actor in a green screen, knowing that they were gonna put another actor in there later. So who's ever on screen would have something to sort of bounce off.
Oh wow,
crazy stuff, man.
Clever movie making, but Kevin is great. Elijah Wood is great, and he's creepy, and it's gross. But I love the montage. It's literally just the frames from the comic when he's buying all the stuff to go back, and he's like, I got the razor wire, the gloves, and my mitts. It's just really good. And man, he fucks up Kevin.
Yeah,
boy, does he fuck him up. And the wolf shows up and eats him. But then all I know, here's just for fun. Here's Rutger Hauer. Speaking of the Rourke, king of the creepy monologue.
Yeah. Again, a situation where Rourke had filmed his scene, Rutger Hauer came in afterwards, was able to look at his performance and go, okay.
Yeah.
And, oh my God.
And I tried. Oh, Rutger Hauer was a creepy dude, man. Such a good performance.
Yeah. I'm speaking of Blade Runner.
Yeah, I'm speaking of Blade Runner. And then right into that awesome ending with the electric chair.
Yeah. Narrating from the grave.
Yeah, it's just so cool. What a great classic noir trope.
Absolutely. Sunset Boulevard.
Sunset Boulevard, yeah. And then all your pansies got. McFarlane put out a toy, like it was a Marv in an electric chair. I'm so mad I never got it. I have the other Marv action figure holding the Kevin head, but the one on the electric chair, it's pretty rare. It's pretty worth it. It's pretty valuable. It was caused an uproar. How can this toy be an electric chair? And I'm like, well, yeah.
Have you seen the McFarlane toy?
Yeah.
I used to have the Freak character from Spawn, who is this ripped-looking, insane. He basically looks like Eddie from.
Oh yeah, I remember. Yeah,
and his hair was the real hair. It was straight.
Yeah,
on the side that. And a bag, but he basically had the body of Iggy Pop, and he was like, the character is an insane homeless person.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's all he is.
Yes.
And here's an action figure.
Here's an action figure. And that brings us now to the next sequence. The big bat kill. The first Sin City comic I bought.
Introducing us to Dwight.
Yes.
Who's a major player here in the Sin City universe.
Who just had plastic surgery and now looks like somebody else.
Dwight is a private eye.
Yeah.
Basically. So, but a private eye in the Sin City sense of the word, in that he basically just takes pictures of people fucking.
Yeah.
And blackmails people. Or not blackmails people, but, you know.
Yeah, he gets that. And you get that more in The Dame to Kill For. Yeah.
Which is the prequel to the story. Because here we have his name.
It's
Englishman extraordinaire. Rough and tumble should have been Bond.
Yes, Clive Owen.
Croupier.
City of Lost Children. How hard do I believe that is?
City of Men.
City of Lost Children. Came out when I was a kid, and that's a French movie, and it's very good too. But yes,
and Carla.
And that weird little guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you get Clive Owen here, recently surgerized.
Yes.
We don't know what he looked like before. Josh Brolin.
He looked like Josh Brolin before, yeah. And now he's the best delivery. In a really big trunk. We're in a big trunk.
Yeah, because he's driving a red caddy.
Yeah.
Movies in black and white, everybody, but pops of color here and there. Judiciously chosen. Here, perfectly chosen, because you need to see a Cadillac if it's red.
Yeah, he's also got red Converse Chucks.
Red Converse Chucks, yes, exactly, which is my preferred shoe. So, like, anytime a character shows up wearing Converse, I'm stoked.
Yeah.
Doctor Who started wearing Converse when the David...
Oh, yeah.
I was like, fuck, yeah.
His poor feet.
Yeah, and my feet have basically been like, it's a form of foot binding. I've been wearing them since I was a kid, so they've effectively grown into the shape of Converse. Kind of ruined for all athletic shoes now. This is the weakest story.
You think, yeah?
I think. I don't have as much fun with this one as I do with the others, although I do love going to the La Brea tar pits.
Yeah, that's fun.
When I lived in Los Angeles for the entirety of the 90s, I lived just off of Wilshire Boulevard and La Brea Boulevard, which is where the tar pits are. And I went to those fucking tar pits every goddamn day.
Yeah.
Because I think it's a marvel that this prehistoric site is just sitting in the middle of a major American
Yeah,
city.
they will take
It's
that down. Yeah, it's cool.
fucking cool,
Yeah.
man. So when they ended up there, and with these super stunning dinosaurs, like,
But I like how the tar pits here are like on the outskirts.
and it's where everyone just dumps bodies.
Yeah, and like, but in the real LA, it's just in the middle of town, man. It's like,
Yeah, it's on the Miracle Mile.
yeah,
Like,
it's literally
if you were to
like
dump,
a mall.
if you were to dump a body there, that body would be
Yeah,
found.
they would know. The La Brea tar pits does make a great appearance, though. However, in the Last Action Hero,
Well, yeah,
they dump Leo the fart in there.
that's they also show up in 1941.
Yeah, they
Tim
do.
Matheson crashes into them. But the best use of the La Brea tar pits of all time and will be forever is Miracle Mile. Steve DeJarnik's,
All right, yeah.
where it begins and ends with the tar pits in more ways than one.
But okay, so here he's gonna drive. He's gotta push the red car in there. Look at the bodies in there. But so Dwight is dating the waitress from the bar that Nancy works at, played by Brittany Murphy.
The long lamented, late, and lovely Brittany Murphy. Talk about promise, man. Talk about careers she was on the way.
So good, that girl.
I think this is her best performance, but
Yeah, she's so cute in this, and so lovable, and so vulnerable, and so tough, all at once.
she shows it off. Unfortunately, she's a character in Frank Miller comics, so she's not given more than that.
No, she's not giving more of that. She's gonna get punched by Benicio del Toro.
Gentle boy.
Come on. What a despicable character, but what the Toro just being creepy and good, and
Del Toro's being awesome here. And Del
Toro at his most Del Toro.
who showed up and said, "Wait, you're not putting prosthetics on me? No, I want to look exactly
Yeah.
like that guy."
Yeah,
Perfect.
yeah, it's a great bit.
Apparently was meant for Johnny Depp.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but had some pirate conflicts.
That's funny.
Yeah.
I'd much rather watch Benicio del Toro than Johnny Depp. Anyway. Yeah. Great stuff, man. What a slimeball character and his little crew of jerks. Like one guy walking around in a tank top. Scumbag.
Yeah, they're all just the most gross. Yeah, I mean, they're harassed, Alexis, which is why she comes to mind. Where her pop of colors are her eyes, which are that fucking blue.
Are that blue.
Jesus Christ.
But yeah, it's a great bit. And Dwight he's just really good as Dwight, Clive Owen. He's really tough. He's just very William Holden-y in it, I think.
Wow, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I kind of get from him.
He can run the wild.
Yeah. And the recurring theme of the leitmotif of shoving guys in toilets.
Oh my God.
Continues again in this.
Speaking of the pop of color, just
Yeah.
a slight bit of yellow to that water. When he coughs it up.
You do get to when you get to Old Town, you do get the one female with total agency. Miho.
There you go. Miho doesn't seem like a prostitute.
Miho is not a prostitute. Miho is the baddest motherfucker in all of Sin City.
She is. What's great here is she's judiciously used in this story.
Yeah.
When it got to the sequel, where they recast her with Jamie Chung instead of Devin Aoki, because Devin Aoki was pregnant.
She was pregnant, yeah.
It's like Miho ex machina. Like anytime they just need something to.
Here's deadly little Miho.
Here she comes. She comes in, just slices everybody.
But she's right here as what was it? Everybody in the sequel got recast except for Marv.
Basically.
Yeah.
Well, Gale is still there, and there are a few others. The Rourke villains are still there, so Paris Booth comes back.
Oh, okay.
It's a lot of the same faces, and the sequel is, if you want more of Sin City, then you're going to get it.
Yeah.
But it's not going to be as fun.
It's not, yeah.
It's just going to feel like day old bread.
I've never seen it other than the first time I watched it. I've only seen it the once.
That's the thing. I watched it the one time, too, when it came out in 2014, which was, by the way, 9 years after Sin City. The promise of Sin City was, here's a new form of cinema, right? We're going to actually translate comics directly.
And they don't.
And they never, it didn't pay off.
Only 300.
I think it could have paid off if he had leapt immediately into a sequel to this and then branched out.
Because there are other good stories, too. There's that last one they did, the love story is really good. I can't remember what it's called, though.
But they could have given us Sin City 2. He could have adapted other Frank Miller.
Yeah.
He needed to be the vanguard more than just the initial thing, because they waited 9 years for the sequel, and by then, nobody cared.
I'm not even that big a fan of Battle Angel all that much. That's all right.
It's okay.
It's as good as this.
This Sin City made for a budget of $40 million, took in $151 million.
It was a hit. It's amazing.
Worldwide.
It took so long to do a sequel.
The sequel cost $65 million and took in $30.
Something just doesn't need a sequel either.
This
is
is
a perfectly
self-contained.
fine film, yeah.
This is a graphic novel of a movie.
Yeah. I like the kind of comic booky looking hookers to a certain the design element of it. Only because it's just what's in the comic, and he's writing it for that comic audience, and that's what those
Right, and they're-
like.
The thing is, we are getting plenty of the female form in the form of Nancy throughout the rest of the book.
Yeah.
So, and other characters, plenty of other characters.
But
So these deadly women don't need to look anything like regular prostitutes. They can just be these things. But it's such a weird
I don't
thing.
like. I mean, I don't like. There's just they're pretty free with punching women. They do it once, twice, but this happens like 5 times in this movie. Jeez, it's a little much.
Yeah, because
But again, it's gritty and it's being an old timey movie.
it's a gritty thing to do. But then again, we have characters who are fucking cannibals in this. So like
Yeah.
the gritty is covered here.
Yeah.
From the top on down. The opening scene is a man murdering a woman.
Yeah. The one thing is the woman, the big fat kill you do is women do get their revenge. Although he spends a lot of time with Michael Clark Duncan's minute, and just the flesh is so exquisite, the skin so soft, and he's crooking her neck and all that stuff. And I'm like, looks like he's just a chiropractor's ear. But he smacks her pretty far too. But the minute, the minute there's Jackie Boy gets killed, there's the mob swoops in and starts trying to like muscle in because they know he's a cop and that'll be the end of the truce and all hell's gonna break loose. What about this guest director Quentin Tarantino thing?
Well, you're certainly allowed to have somebody come on your set and direct a scene.
Yeah,
I don't know why he needs a credit.
I don't know why either.
I mean, there's plenty of shots in Goonies that are Steven Spielberg's.
I feel like it's just marketing.
Yeah, that feels like Miramax's. Since you're already saying fuck you to the DGA, let's really say fuck you and put Quentin's name on.
Yeah.
And I'm sure it was a situation where Tarantino was there and he was like, come play with the digital equipment. Come play with the green screen. I know you're a film guy, but do a scene.
Yeah.
See how you feel.
And it's just 2 guys in a car. I mean, it's not like it's...
There's nothing spectacularly directed about that. It's basic coverage.
It just... The cinematography is the best part about it.
The scene is great because it's a dead guy with his throat slit who keeps, depending on the position of his neck, his vocal cords are stretched or not. That's what's working. But it's not like the camera's moving in any sort of way that made me...
I like the way the light, on the black and white, the lights, it's really neat. The primary colors. But again, that's Rodriguez because he's the DP on it.
Exactly. He's doing it no matter what.
But, marketing.
Yeah. You want the footage of, there's behind the scenes footage of that scene being shot particularly. And it's literally Tarantino sitting next to Rodriguez on different cameras, like watching money.
Yeah, I've seen it. Yeah, I agree.
So it's like, who's directing the scene?
Yeah.
Tarantino could have left and that scene would have gotten filmed.
Same I think with the Frank Miller stuff, I think.
Yeah. Every piece of footage that I found of Frank Miller actually directing somebody, like you see him like walking up to an actor and going, try this kind of thing. It was all from Damon Kilfor. I can't find any footage of him actually directing the first Sin City. I'm sure it's exactly the same situation. He's just sitting there and going, maybe this. I don't know if that's, you know what I mean? It wouldn't be.
Because
he wasn't having conversations with the fucking lighting guys.
Because as a screenwriter, I guess he's all right, but the spirit is terrible.
So is RoboCop 3.
Yes, RoboCop 3 is terrible.
And RoboCop 2 ain't that great.
No, but it's got some stuff in it.
It has some good stuff. It has Tom Noonan in it.
Yeah, it's got Tom Noonan in it.
Yeah. And a kid who's a fucking criminal master.
Yeah.
Which is a great Frank Miller.
Yeah. No, that's not Jonathan Brandis. It was... Oh, never mind. Who cares? The end is fun. The special effects are the weakest in that last bit. There's a shot when it pulls away from the hooker. The armed prostitute on the roof and it pulls back. It gets wonky, the effect.
Oh, the CG. CG-ness of it.
And the shots of the prostitutes on the roof don't look really...
No, it feels like an 80s music video.
Yeah, it kind of
like
loses a little bit. The twist is great. I mean, I know it from the comic, but it's still a great twist when he's got the grenade and the...
Yeah.
And it's a play on the Thermopylae because they're in the gates. But
his first iteration of that.
Yeah, he's definitely working that theme. I do love Rosario Dawson's performance, so she's great. And she chews up every single one of those lines.
Which you need to be doing.
Yeah.
Although Clive Owen makes a dainty meal of his
Yeah, they both
of his
they
performance.
understand the assignment, and Del Toro too. That this is a delicious sandwich, and again, Brittany Murphy. Look, I cut your little pickle off. Oh, what a shame she never got to play Harley because wow.
Yeah. I'm born to do it, right?
Yeah, like she would have been a sympathetic Harley. Like you would have enjoyed her craziness, but you also would have felt bad because those eyes are hers. They're just the most beautiful eyes you've ever seen on a white girl, let me tell you. She's, oh, what a shame. What a heartbreak.
Yeah.
That is, she didn't have to die. I think she got murdered, but that shouldn't be.
Well, there's an entire documentary.
Yeah, there's a whole,
So,
there's a whole thing. And like her husband died of the exact same thing. I don't know.
A little unusual.
Yeah. Sounds like something happening in Basin City.
Yeah. Okay.
And now that brings us, so they have the big fat kill, and it's pretty dynamic. Alexis Bledel has overturned them to the mob. She's so obnoxious in this movie.
She really is, yeah.
The performance, because she's obnoxious, but she's obnoxious. Michael Clark Duncan is great.
Golden Eye.
Yeah, with his big golden eye.
Yeah, he's good. He's good.
Has great delivery. And that, what's with that one guy with the Nazis with the swastika tattoo on his head? He's just like really casual about being evil. He's like, hey, this is great. What are you doing? After that, I got shot.
Is that Nicky Cat? I think that would be.
Yeah, I think so, maybe. But I do like the bullet through the.
One of the goons is also Nick Offerman.
Nick Offerman, and he's got like bondage gear on.
Yep.
Wow. How about that?
Crazy, right?
Man.
Pre-Parks.
And Dwight's voiceover is really good. He does a really good job.
His voiceover is the best voiceover. As far as the writing goes, without it sort of falling too much into the noir.
Yeah. Miho, you're God, Jesus, Elvis.
Yeah,
it's really, he delivers that line really well.
Yeah, I like that one.
But the most satisfying one is the end here with that yellow bastard coming back, and Hartigan's alive.
Thank God, man. I think he died in the opening.
Right? And boy, it's really just a neat. That yellow bastard was my favorite comic.
Like Basin City?
Yeah, I think it might have been my favorite. I really just enjoyed the shit out of that because the ending is satisfying. It's a really satisfying end. And that yellow bastard is such a great villain.
A great design. Translated immaculate here by Greg Nicotero.
Yeah, and he's based on the Yellow Kid, which is the first comic book character, so to speak. The first modern cartoon character, newspaper cartoon character. And it was just this little yellow boy in kind of a dress, and like he had got into mischief. But yeah, he's the Yellow Kid.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. And that yellow bastard is evocative of that. But again,
do you think that it was like in his youth, Frank Miller like saw like no yellow bastard?
Yeah, probably. And the way Frank Miller talks, I'm sure that's what it is. But the stories, like, just, ooh. But there's another thing, though. There's, like, male nudity in the comic, too. So when Hartigan's hanging from
that's right.
thing, his dong's hanging out. That's all cleverly hidden in shadow. And that yellow bastard is naked at the end. And here he's in his boxers. And, man, I wish they would have
gone all the way.
Gone all the way, because it was like looked like a duck dick or something. It was really weird looking. And
now that might actually be the case that we're fucking with the censors enough.
Yeah. But it shows what all the surgery that we went through. Because Powers Booth shows up and he's like, we're going to do this to you. Powers Booth is so good.
And with those weirdo eyes,
weirdo eyes,
like golden, they say. Yeah. They're very freaky. I do not like it.
Yeah. But the splash of color was Miho's earlier, had a little bit of blue on it. But it's great when he gets out and all this stuff. That's why he doesn't kill his partner, though. Bob picks him up and he doesn't kill him.
Yeah.
He killed him.
He did shoot a lot of holes in him.
Yeah. Exactly.
Trying to kill the little girl who he's still trying to protect.
Yeah. And remember the great line, he's like, man, now you're scaring a little girl. But his performance is very paternal. And that's Rodriguez's input, I think, coming through. Rodriguez, who has 78 kids.
At least a few of them got girls.
Yeah. And a few of them are. And I think the dad, he made a bunch of kids movies. The dad in whom I think kept him from, and Bruce Willis got a bunch of kids too. Like, I think the dads kept it from being creepy.
How about that? Robert Rodriguez is the only sort of modern American filmmaker who went out and made a bunch of children's films, original children.
Yeah.
Specifically for kids to go see because there was nothing out there like it. And in that case, there was actually a pretty good market of children's entertainment. You look at this field now, you're like, what is going on? But no other filmmaker decided I'm going to take a few years to do this kind of a thing.
Yeah,
See Soderbergh do that.
Yeah, Soderbergh's made a lot of movies, but he hasn't made no kids movies.
Why not?
Yeah. And then he goes to the bar. I always liked how the lighting in the bar color was kind of cool.
Yeah.
Is Wolverine in there? Wolverine's in the bar in the comics.
Oh, I think.
Yeah, he's in the background. But again, when she just shows up and kisses him, that's some wish fulfillment on Miller's side.
It's weird.
Yeah, it's very weird. Because I just don't see a little girl. I don't know. I mean, I've never been a little girl, but I can't imagine a little girl having that kind of feeling towards him.
Well, Nancy has made some choices in life.
She has made some choices.
Still in Basin City.
Yeah, they didn't keep her daddy didn't keep her off the pole.
Nope. He might have written one letter back to her. Stop stripping.
Yeah. They never got them.
I mean, more power to sex workers. I don't care about any of that. Or,
you know who I want to give a shout out to? Is the actor beating up Bruce Willis when he's tied to a chair.
Oh, he's great.
Just the Lord.
Yeah.
I love that guy with his white shoulder hair and that gun. There's an old man to be. Oh man, what a fucking great performance! Like that guy is like some asshole cop who's dirty, and you can just see it all. So whoever that dude is, bravo to you for this great performance. Well, you look at that. You're never gonna have a guy like Hartigan. Oh, come on, Hartigan. Like it's just making a meal out of it.
Sure.
Yeah, it's great. But just Hartigan's rampage is great. And that yellow bastard, man, again, it's just a great performance, amazing makeup, just a disgusting person. And the way he describes how he smells.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
The blood, even worse. What's funny is the design of the yellow bastard kept me from reading Sin City because I was so used to Miller's grotesque characters. I was like, I can't. I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna pass. If this is what it's gonna be, because before I saw anything, I saw that image of that character and went, no, I'm good.
No, it's good though.
Oh, he's great. I'm a fool for waiting.
Yeah, he's such a great villain, man. And he rips his fucking balls off again.
Yes.
He shot him off the first time. How'd they fix him anyways?
Well, that was part of the surgery that he went through. What I love is that this is maybe more of a sequel thing, but Powers Booth has portrait of his son hanging on the thing, but it's the yellow bastard version. It's not the young Nick. Like there's one on his desk. It's just, this family is. So like, yeah, that's my son.
Powers Booth is just so oily.
It's good.
Yeah, he's just so
great with all. You know what I think of Powers Booth? I think of his appearance in Red Dawn.
Oh, yeah.
Kids are all out there on their own, and then he shows up, and suddenly you feel, God, everything's going to be okay. Sarah Booth's so decent and good. Like, they've got a chance now, and then they fucking take him away.
I just hope his parents, he thanked his parents for giving him that awesome name.
Powers. As disparate as all these stories are, as it turns out, they're all about the downfall of the Rourke family. It's all about their members of their family being murdered, basically one by one.
Yeah, basically.
Because in Sin City, we get the Rutger Hauer character, who's a Rourke.
Yeah.
And we get Nick Stahl, who's a Rourke.
Yeah.
And in the sequel, it's all about Nancy killing
Powers Booth, yeah.
Huh.
Yeah, they loom large in the comics, for sure. I just like the fact that one of the villains is a cardinal. That's cool. That's Frank Miller went to Catholic school. I can tell you right now, but just based on that one. Only some Catholic kid's going to come up with that. Well, I mean, that Daredevil run is the most Catholic comic book you ever read.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All of the guilt, and all of the weird sort of fetishy stuff.
Yeah,
that's all Catholic as well, man.
Trust me, I know. 12 years of that schooling. I was an altar boy.
Me as well. I was not an altar boy. I did go to Catholic school from pre-kindergarten through high school.
Oh, wow. I think I got there in the second grade, so 11 years, and then all the way through. But I was an altar boy. My mom got me on the altar boy team early. I was like Kobe getting drafted out of high school.
All of my friends were altar boys, and they were the most degenerate characters I've ever met.
They gave us money every week, too, at the end.
Right out of the basket. All right. I was about to sell another Catholic, so no, we're not going to do that. All right, let's get out of this somehow. How does this end? Well,
this ends with Alexis Bledel's.
Well, no, I mean, it ends with Hartigan making the sacrifice.
Oh, yeah, no, I'm sorry, I jumped ahead. Yeah, no, it ends with Hartigan realizing that he saved the day. He saved Nancy from that yellow bastard. But that yellow bastard's dad's still alive. And he's going to come after her. He's going to come after him. He's got to make the only choice he feels he can make, which is to blow his brains out. which is done in the reverse silhouette and the white.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, it's gorgeous. I don't know if he needed to do that. They could have moved to not Sin City.
Yeah, the Rourke influence, is it okay in New York as well?
Yeah,
Like,
they could have got
Omaha, Nebraska, and go down to Shanghai. Come on, guys.
I'm sure there are plenty of places where a 60-year-old man and a 19-year-old girl could go live out their lives together. But that's still just
Holmby Hills.
right. I don't think that's Frank Miller though. He likes that.
He loves that dynamic.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
He's a weird dude.
So now Alexis Bledel fucked over all the girls in Old Town.
Yeah.
But thank God we have a fucking chaotic element from the opening to come back. Great.
Yeah, he offers her a cigarette and she's like, okay, mom, bye. He knows. She knows.
Well, he calls her by name.
Yeah, he calls her by name. That's right.
No
Well,
appearance of Josh Hartnett in the sequel.
No, huh?
Or drag.
That's stupid.
But I'm
down without pity.
now very interested in cutting together a version of Sin City that's the ultimate version of it, pulled together from the best bits of both films.
Oh, it's too bad that Michael Clark Duncan, he's not in the sequel.
Well, he died.
Yeah, he passed away too young. Dennis Haysbert.
He was great.
He's great. Yeah, he's a great actor, man.
Yeah. And we get pre-GoldenEye
Yeah.
renewed in that one. We get to see the eye,
Yeah.
which it has a great line, which is Marv rips out the eyeball and then kind of feels it and says, haven't feel this in a few days.
Does Clive Owen show up in the sequel after the plastic
No,
surgery?
after I was hoping that the bandages would come off and it'd be Clive Owen, but they did prosthetics on Josh Brolin to make him look like Clive Owen. And it's super weird.
Yeah. I just remember not liking that sequel at all. I'm just going, I can't watch any more of this.
And it's really, what's annoying is, like, after the surgery, he shows up and the Manute character recognizes him instantly. And so it was all for nothing, really.
Right, yeah.
You know, something about the eyes. I can tell it's you. Let's go.
Yeah. Should have left it alone. It was fine as it was.
Because Sin City, for all its flaws, for all its weird sexual politics, for all its
Yeah, weird sexual politics. That's a good way to put it. Because it is weird. And if you're like some Gen Z or kid or something, you're gonna watch it and go, this movie's very problematic. Yeah, I know, I get it, but it's still well crafted.
and it's designed to be problematic.
Yeah, it's
because it's supposed to be like a, an ode to
The 50s.
the 50s
40s,
hard-boiled
50s,
detective stuff. So I can forgive all of that. It's a piece of artwork as far as I can tell. It brings more to the table than we brought to it. And I mean, I'm sure you've seen it if you're listening to this, but if you haven't, fucking A, man, go watch it immediately. But do not watch the stories by themselves in that.
No, it loses the idea that this is a universe and they all kind of like coexist with one another and stuff. And
Comic book stories work great
Yeah.
in like single issues. That's fine, but this was a movie and it needs to be a movie.
this is a graphic novel.
Yeah, all of the characters playing off each other, all the stories bumping into each other and coming back. And like I said, the best story in it is that Yellow Bastard, but it's split into two halves and it works like gangbusters. But if you watch it as just one story with no payoff, really, it's two sacrifices on top of each other. Who cares? We don't feel the length of time between those.
Yeah, that bookend really sells the whole thing to the way booking it in with the Hartigan stuff.
Yeah. So go see Sin City if you haven't.
Yeah, it's pretty cool, man. You can find it. I don't think it's like on Pluto or something like that. So it's free to watch on TV. But find yourself a copy without commercials. It'll do yourself a favor. It's a great movie, man.
I'm not going to bring up Holy Terror. I was going to do that. We're gonna
No, I don't even want to talk about it because
it's fucking beating a dead horse.
Yeah,
And
it's the worst comic book ever made, man.
Even he is. I was a drunk fucking angry man.
He was a drunk, angry man, and it's super racist, and it's a shameful book, and I'm glad. Oh, it sucks.
Ooh, it's bad.
Yeah, it's like the worst comic book ever. Don't ever read it.
To even consider that he wanted to make Batman that guy.
Oh, God, thank God DC had better angels working for them.
Yeah. Anyway.
Go find Sin City comics. Those are amazing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Any of his comics, honestly. Like, he's a fucking fantastic writer.
Yeah,
like,
he really was.
We all look at that artwork from Dark Knight Returns and whatever. Yeah, it's great. Whatever. The writing is what carried Frank Miller through it.
Stay away from Dark Knight Returns 2. Stay away from Holy
Dark
Terror.
Knight Strikes Again.
Yeah, that's awful. But again, he was an angry drunk at the time.
Yeah, that's his take on Justice League.
But 300 is a great comic book too, man. It's gorgeous. Ronan is gorgeous. And the stuff that he didn't draw, Give Me Liberty. Give Me Liberty is a fantastic comic book, man. It's still on my, I could adapt that list.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So thank you all for joining us here on Midnight Viewing and Attack. Antonio, until our next performance, until our next program, where can people find you if they're looking for you?
You can catch my movie Space Detective right now for a limited time at spacedetectivemovie.com and visit some of my other stuff at swampmedia.com.
As for me, you can check out all my stuff over at Weirding Way Media Group, including this show, which is now a weekly show, thank goodness. And you can hear me on Night Mr. Walters, Taxi Podcast, and I do a lot of guest spots over on Culturecast, so I guess I'll plug him too. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time.
Adios.
Midnight Viewing Anthologies Attack is a proud member of Weirding Way Media. Our theme song was composed by HP. If you want to hear these episodes early and commercial-free, go to patreon.com/FatherMalone. Membership will also get you exclusive bonus content not available in the regular stream. But if you just like the show and want to help, please share with your friends and give us a 5-star rating on your podcatcher of choice. Till next time.